We're just kicking off now.
Yeah.
All right, we're back. I was gonna say an episode number, but we used to get that wrong all the time.
You don't know how many you've done.
No, we've got a special guest. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes.
Name, age, where you're from, and then we'll just get into it.
Cool. So, Sophia from Leeds. I'm 30, believe it or not. That's it. Don't want to go into too much detail because then you guys will just...
All right, we'll start to pick. So you're 30. What do you do for a living?
So, I am a financial advisor. I've worked in finance since I was 16, so a long time. But I'm currently building a nutrition coaching company, which has kind of branched out into life coaching, which happened quite unexpectedly. So that's where I'm at now.
So I don't want to talk about nutrition that much.
Okay.
Like I do want to touch on it, but why did you start going into it?
Yeah.
The nutrition question, what sparked that?
So from the age of 13, for 10 years, I suffered with anorexia, bulimia. I ended up in hospital, and then that led to binge eating, back to anorexia. Overusing exercise to compensate was another. I'd do cardio for up to 5 hours a day. Yeah. I know. And I got into the nutrition side of things to try and help other people not have to go through that. Because I'm a massive believer in that if I'd understood how food worked, how our body needed it, how we could use it to our advantage, I would never have had eating disorders. So one thing I am passionate about is educating people on nutrition. Getting into schools, that's like going to be way further down the line, but there's not enough information from a young age to be able to understand it properly. And obviously with the issues that we've got now with social media, there's children like 8, 9, 10 that are probably younger than that now, that have got body image issues, and it's not being addressed properly. So I decided that I had people asking me to do them plans, and I thought I'm not doing it for free because it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. So if I get qualified, I can then charge people. Now, you don't actually have to be qualified to be a nutritionist, which is mental. But I didn't want to be asking people for money if I didn't have a qualification. So I got qualified last October and set up. It was about November, December time. I started taking my first clients on.
Nice.
What do you think actually sparked your eating disorders? What do you know where that kind of stemmed from now looking back?
Yeah, do you know what? It's so bizarre and it's so weird because I have realised more and more over the years that when I was younger and when I was going through things, I was so unaware of what was happening at the time. When I had anorexia, eating disorders weren't talked about. It wasn't accepted like it is now. There wasn't any online help. My parents didn't even know what was going on because they weren't educated on things like that either. And over the years, I've almost put all of that in a box, locked it away, and forgotten a lot of what happened. So a lot of it is very blurry, and I'm not just saying that because I don't want to talk about it, because I'll talk about anything. Sure. So there's a lot of stuff I don't remember, but when I was growing up, I had a lot of issues with OCD, being really controlling with things, forming routines and behaviours that were very, very structured and routine, which is how I live now. But but I guess as I was younger, I didn't really know how to deal with that. And I got bullied in primary school for being fat, because I was quite overweight as a child. Not drastically, but you know, when you get bullied when you're younger and it sticks in your mind. And then it just all kind of developed from there. I started losing weight and people started making positive comments, and it just went from there and got out of control. And before I knew it, I was frightened to eat. And that was when I ended up in hospital. I mean, it was at the point where I wouldn't drink water because I'd then step on the scales and weigh heavier. Jeez. So obviously that's very dangerous. Yeah. I think my lowest weight, again, it's really hard to remember. It was like 50 kilos, which that was when I'd gone back to anorexia the second time. And I'm not like a small build person, so that is quite light. But obviously it was, you know, I'd have probably 6 months of anorexia and then bulimia, and then and so it was just a big mess that I didn't know how to get out of.
So what was that step forward, and how did you get help
So
yourself?
So I got out of it. I was actually in an abusive relationship at the time, with someone who told me he wanted me to be fat forever so that I would never leave him and no one else would want me.
Oh, weird guy.
Yeah, not a very nice person. And I just decided that I deserved better, wanted better. It was literally I woke up one morning and something had snapped. I don't know what it was, but kicked him out, decided I needed to turn my life around. And that was when I was 20 or 21. But I still then suffered with eating disorders after that point, because as soon as something goes wrong in your life, you just turn back to what's always been there for you in the past. And made many, many mistakes along the way of trying to get better. Went through lots of therapy, which I'd recommend to anyone because that massively helped me. I mean, it was at the point where I didn't know who to talk to that wouldn't judge me for my thoughts and feelings, because sitting down and telling your mum and dad that you can't drink a glass of water, that just sounds so bizarre. So therapy definitely helped. And a lot of it does seem like a massive muddle because it was all so intertwined with different things at the time. So, but it was, just one day I just decided that I deserved better and deserved a better life for myself. So
No, big on that point. You're not the first person do you know who was it that came on? I think it might have been Ben Sanjura, in fact, and we were talking about therapists and going to see a therapist, and how in America a lot of people will do
just
that quite
have one.
naturally.
Yeah,
Here it's kind of, you're only mental if you go to one kind of stereotype that you get from the general public. So did that help a lot then, you find, being able to talk to your problems about someone and then
so being able to talk to someone that's being paid to sit there, doesn't know you, isn't going to talk to anyone else that knows you, because at that time I massively cared about what other people thought of me, which again is something that has completely changed. But yeah, so I just thought that people would judge my thoughts and my actions, and a lot of eating disordered behaviour is massively secret as well, so you're doing things that you would never want people to see or know that you do, and it's quite shameful. Well, it's very shameful. So a lot of it is hidden, and then being able to tell someone that is a massive weight lifted off your shoulders. And it's just such a shame that it's so hard to get therapy nowadays, and there's waiting lists.
Yeah, that's it. I think, to be honest, we've spoken about it, haven't we? Like, we'd probably go to see one just to see what it's like. But yeah, one, trying to find one, and two, like, you trying to, then get onto a waiting list and wait, and like, what do you do for that time you're waiting?
I know. And with eating disorders now, you have to be below a certain BMI. And nowadays you can have an eating disorder and be overweight and need serious help, but they just, because your body isn't at danger, they don't look at how it's affecting your mind and your behaviours and everything going forward. So that is a massive issue. And people just don't have the money to pay for it nowadays themselves.
So do you think there's a way for people to take control of this by themselves with what's out there in terms of information? And
a lot more now than when I was going through it. There's so much information online, but it's kind of shifting through it to get to the correct information, the correct help. There's so many websites. But the scary part is, if you start Googling where to find help, you'll get like pro-anorexia sites coming up, pro-bulimia sites, and you might just click on it wondering what that is. Have a Google if you want, like, 'cause it's just awful. And it gives you tips on how to do it, how to hide it. There's whole online communities of people that are encouraging young people to share anorexic pictures, and it's just...
Why?
Because they feel that it's the right... Some people are so mentally ill with it that they think it's the right way to live. I never saw it as a way of life, and I always knew it was wrong, and I think that was why I hid it a lot. Put my parents through a lot with it, and thank God they are still supportive of me now, and obviously happy I'm where I'm at. But it's just, there's so much conflicting information, and again, when you look at anything with fitness and nutrition, there's so much shit out there. There's so many shit people just lying to get money. And I knew that if I got qualified, I could try and be one of the ones that was putting out correct information to help people. Because obviously, ultimately, my aim is to work in nutrition full time, and I will be leaving behind an extremely well-paid industry. That really, at 30, I'm only just starting in. So it will be a lot harder financially, but a lot more rewarding.
Let's touch upon that then. So what made you want to leave sort of making you want to leave the corporate world to do something of your own?
My job now, I pretty much make rich people richer, and I help business people pay less tax, and they really appreciate it.
I bet.
And I have some amazing clients. I do. That I've known for years, and know all their family, and ultimately a finance client tells me their financial goals and I get them to that point, but money means nothing. And again, to me, I used to be so money driven, which is why I got into finance. I've even got a pound sign tattooed behind one of my ears.
Yes.
It's so shit. I wasn't even drunk when I got it done, Lord. But so it's just that is not me anymore. I'm very good at it. And yeah, I want to now help people. I see it that I've come to a realisation over the last 2-3 years that that's what I'm here to do. I'm not all spiritual and all that shit, but yeah, it's just I'm so much better at that than what I'm doing. And for me to not try and get into it more and be able to help more people would just be a waste of something that I'm really, really good at.
Yeah, and that's it. And you pair it, experience, and then, a passion, and then you're educating yourself as well. So, for me to see it, it's like, why wouldn't people want to work with you?
Exactly.
It makes perfect sense.
We can talk about working together later if you want.
Yeah, sure, why not? So, talk to me about nutrition, and talk to me about how it can, help people's kind of mental well-being. Like, how does that play a role? Because I don't really understand, but I would like to know a bit more. So
it's essential for your mental well-being. You'll find I have people that message me or come to me for help with nutrition, and they'll say, they might be underweight, they might be overweight. I get people that want to build muscle. So it's not just fat people. And they'll come to me and they'll say, I'm having these issues and I think it's because of X, Y, and Z, and food won't be in there. People will never look at what they're putting in their mouth every day. They'll say it's because I'm not training properly. It's because I'm not using the right supplements. It's because I'm stressed. It's because I've got a thyroid problem. And then I'm saying, right, so before we start, you do me a week-long food diary. Everything you eat and drink, you write down, and that will tell us what the issue is. And it always does. I've had one client since I started that went completely against science. So it was this girl who had an underactive thyroid, which generally makes you overweight, was inactive, eating, according to her food diary, about 4,000 calories a day and losing weight.
Wow.
And she came to me because she wanted to gain weight by eating healthy foods. So we obviously had to really bulk up. It was such a great diet plan to do. It was so exciting. And we had to keep increasing it because she was just losing weight. We had her up to 5,000 calories and her body was just burning through it. So, there are very, very rare occasions where science doesn't work. But it's very rare. Your average person is just eating not enough or too much or eating the wrong things.
What do you find tends to be the common thing with clients? And because I get a lot of them will come in with goals, and do their eating habits genuinely tend to match their goals?
No, not what they would show me initially. So I'll have people trying to lose weight who will diet Monday to Friday, and then as soon as they finish work on Friday night, they are planning what takeaway to order. They're in the pub having drinks, and before they've even got to Saturday afternoon, they've undone all of the deficit that they've made that week, and then they're in a surplus and they're actually gaining weight. And they're so frustrated because they feel like they're working hard because they're being so deprived 5 days of the week, but then that massive blowout that they reward themselves with is completely undoing all the hard work. That is the most common, and I was in that cycle for 6 years maybe. So I completely understand. You know, I'm fully open with my clients with what I've been through, because then they feel that they can open up to me about everything. You know, like the water thing, or, I mean, yeah, so much of it is just things that they would potentially not want to tell people that aren't as open about what they've been through. But if they're completely honest with me, I can change their life. But if they're not, there's limits as to what I can do.
Yeah. That must be the most common eating disorder in this country, surely.
What, the weekend?
Like the 5-2 diet, but in reverse.
Yeah.
Starve yourself for 5 days.
It
Don't get me wrong, being there, but you know, getting into that is not something that I plan to ask you about. So what's your view on cheat days then? Because cheat days are, you know, that's kind of what you're getting at, right?
I am of the mindset, if I'm going to eat something, I'm going to eat something. Like, that's that.
You,
yeah,
I'm with you.
I've just started dieting on Monday, so like that grenade bar was absolutely amazing. I just had but no, like the problem we have is people reward themselves with food, and however amazing dogs are, we aren't animals. And you should reward your body by fueling it correctly for what you're about to do. So whether that's a day at work, you need your brain functioning, you need carbohydrates, like. But on the other hand, there's then people that will say to you, okay, you need to eat breakfast because it kickstarts your metabolism. That's the biggest lie in the world. Like, it's just not true. I sometimes don't eat breakfast till 1 p.m. and my brain's fully functioning. So we've become a society that rewards themselves with food. Every celebration we have is around food. Everything. If my friends message me to do something, they'll be like, let's go for brunch, let's go for a cocktail, let's go for dinner, let's stay in and have a takeaway. How about we just go for a walk, or we go and do something that doesn't revolve around eating? People are just they think they deserve to reward themselves with food. So that's associated with everything. You know, in offices, on a Wednesday, we've made it halfway through the week, let's have a cake. On a Monday, oh shit, it's Monday. Mondays are the worst day of the week, so we'll have a bottle of wine after work. On a Friday, Janet's leaving, so let's go out for lunch. It's just, when you actually think about it, it's insane. We've got so much food. We're just so greedy, and we're frightened of being hungry. And this is one thing I say to my clients: I'm not going to starve you. And all of my clients would say that when I first send them their plan, they're like, I've got to eat that much food. There's no way I'm eating that much now. I'm like, you wouldn't have messaged me if you weren't eating that much. You are eating more than that now. But I do say to them, at some point you will feel hungry, and that is a normal human feeling to have. You don't want to be starving, you don't want it regularly, but we shouldn't eat to the point where our stomachs hurt. But if you do that occasionally, that's fine, that's human. But rewarding yourself in that way, you know, if you've got respect for your body and your health long term, it's not what you should be doing.
Do you know what? You make such a good point about if you feel hungry, you just eat. Hunger. So your grandparents are the worst. Like, if you're a bit hungry, they'll just throw food at you.
Yeah.
But like, people should treat it like they treat sleep. If I was tired, a bit tired, I wouldn't just lay down and sleep. You wouldn't get fuck all done.
No, you wouldn't.
So just if you're a bit hungry,
you'd be so productive.
If you're a bit hungry, just. Yeah, you're right.
But you know what you said then? How grandparents would throw food at you. Go back 50 years. How many people were overweight?
Oh, hardly any.
And why?
Probably less takeaways.
Rationed food and
cooked food, right? You'd have to have cooked food at home. You'd less takeaways.
Yeah. And as well, they walked everywhere. I'm massive about, for your mental health and your physical health, you don't have to join a gym. I love the gym. Again, my clients come to me, or some people message me and they're like, I really want you to do me a plan, but I don't want to go to the gym. And I'm like, okay, I train. Doesn't mean you have to. I never tell a client to join the gym. In fact, I tell some of them to cancel the gym membership, save the money, put it towards paying me, and get outside and walk. Because I'm completely honest with them about prices from the beginning. I'm not cheap, but my service is priced at what I would pay for it. So that's, you know, money is an issue for a lot of people nowadays. I totally get that, but again, you get what you pay for. And so yeah, go back 50 years. They walked everywhere. They didn't have, they did have cars, but it wasn't as easy to just jump in them and use them. They didn't have the money.
Yeah.
So because they didn't have the money, they weren't celebrating everything with food. You'd get families getting together for a meal once a month, not once a week. And everything would be home cooked, not takeaways. And you actually find as well that when you cook more and every meal is prepared and cooked in the kitchen, you stood up, you're being more active, and that makes such a difference than just getting a bag of crisps and sitting on the sofa with it. Like I can burn 500 calories a day prepping food, like just being stood up and moving around the kitchen. Yeah, I know it's mad, isn't it? But if I do a big day of, a couple of days of food prep, you're moving around that much. And we are, again, a society that rewards ourselves with food, is lazy, sits down far too much. Yeah.
Do you know what? I had to unfollow loads of like Instagram food porn things. It was proper making me hungry. Like I was just see stuff. I'm like, oh my god, it looks so good. I had to just cut it off. But I've seen on your Instagram that you go out walking quite a lot.
Yeah.
And it's something I've tried to do recently. Like if I'm working at home in the middle of my day, I'll try to go out for an hour just to like clear my head, like put on like podcasts or whatever. Important. So yeah, like what's the benefits of doing that in your day, just for your mindset and keeping active and that sort of stuff?
Yeah. So I can't imagine starting my day any other way. If I didn't have the dogs, I would still do it, and I still get my clients to do it. It's the only activity I ever ask my clients to do. Walk more. I don't understand why people wouldn't. Like, I've got a post office that's about 45 minutes away. If I'm not at home for a parcel, I will put a backpack on, I'll get the dogs on the leads, and whatever the weather, we will go pick it up. And more people need to think like that. A lot of people would say they don't have time, but I don't have time, and I still walk at least twice a day, sometimes more. But yeah, the benefits, obviously vitamin D, we all know how good just being outside is for you. It gives you, like you said with work, a complete mental break. You can just switch off, either listen to a podcast. I often spend it voice noting clients back or on the phone to clients. But being outside, even, where I go, I'm really, really lucky to live where I do. Something I feel grateful for every day. And I can walk for an hour and a half and not see one person. But even when it's like raining or dark and we go around the streets, and it's not the same as the countryside, but it's still way better than being stuck inside. It just, like you said, it gets you moving. And if you're a creative person, or you work from home, or you work on your own, you can't just sit at a computer all day and stare at a screen. It's so bad for you. You're not going to be productive. You're not going to be thinking new thoughts. You're not going to be moving any plans forward. So yeah, it's just amazing.
So on nutrition then, how important is it to stay hydrated? So we hear how much we should drink 3 litres of water a day, 2 litres of water a day. How much water should an average person be drinking a day?
An inactive person, 2 litres. But if you train, 3. I've got my clients on 4. But again, that helps with your digestion, your brain, concentration levels. Obviously, when it's hot, you need to drink more. If you're training, you need to drink more. But also as well, if you're drinking a lot, this is something my clients will laugh when they hear me say this. If you're drinking a lot and you're exercising and it's warm, you have to salt food. So you have to use salt. And it can make you quite poorly if you don't. So I have clients that don't use salt because they think it's unhealthy, and then they're drinking 4 litres of water and they're like, I've got really bad headaches. I make them go drink a glass of salt, just put salt in. And I'll tell me how you feel in 5 minutes and it's gone. So that's how important salt is. But yeah, water is absolutely essential. Even if you don't train, again, just to keep your body functioning normal and processing food and your brain working. It's, yeah.
Well, like it's 80% water out.
Yeah.
It makes obvious sense.
Of course it does. And if you're not going for a piss every hour, you're not drinking enough water.
Don't even get us started, because we drive a lot for work.
And you have to stop.
How often do we get to each other's houses and it's like, need to go for a piss?
Well, what did I do as soon as I got here? I was like, we're going to be sat down for an hour. Where's the bathroom?
Straight in. Do you know what? That's a good call before a podcast. So I've been sat in podcasts like 40 minutes in, like, God.
Shut up.
Yeah, it definitely happens. So, talk to us about the mindset coaching side then.
Okay.
Get us, like, what does that mean? Like, give us a broad headline of what is mindset coaching.
So I started with the nutrition coaching, and I realised that when I was talking to my clients, once they're set up with the food plan, I basically do 7 days of every different meal is an option. So they've got a lot of different food to think about and play around with and mess around with. So once they're set up with that, it's up and running, it's fine. Sometimes we change quantities, but that's it. But I found when I was doing check-ins with clients, I was talking to them more about how they're feeling, what's going on in their life. So you've eaten off plan, or you've not eaten anything, you've not fully eaten what's on plan. Why is that? What's happening in your life? And I wasn't actually talking to people about food. I was talking to people about problems at work, problems in their relationships, lack of confidence, lack of self-worth. That's a massive one. People don't feel that they deserve to be healthy, which is really, really sad. So it kind of developed, and I thought, okay, so I'm having these conversations and I'm helping them, but it's not documented. So we are discussing goals, but we're not doing it properly. I'm also not charging for that service. So I still offer a nutrition package, but then I did a completely separate mindset package and then a mindset and nutrition package. So I've now got some clients that just do nutrition, some clients that just do mindset. So someone might contact me and say, I'm lacking confidence at work with public speaking. So we'll do some goal setting around that. But then I've also got clients that do mindset and nutrition, because it does go hand in hand. Or some of my nutrition clients have now moved up to the mindset and nutrition package because they want to look at other areas that aren't just nutrition related, even though everything is nutrition related. But, you know. So there's loads of different options, and how it works, it totally depends on the client. So the first meeting would be face-to-face, obviously over FaceTime if they're really, really far away. And I would just say to them, right, okay, so, well, I get them to fill in documents before they come, which gives me an idea of their goals and their current life situations. And I will have some sort of plan, which we'll then adapt together on our first meeting as to what they actually want to achieve. We'll look at long-term goals and then short-term actions to make sure they reach those goals. And if a client comes to me with 8 goals, I'll say, right, we will get you there, but let's just look at 3 for now, because you can't get them to try and change 10 areas of their life at once. It's just too much. And they wouldn't then reach each goal to its full potential. So that's how it works.
Oh, that makes sense. So it's something that we've kind of talked about as well. That it's not. We wonder about. We had Reese from Elite Step. He started to go into corporate and talk to people about mindset and that sort of stuff. And he really does work with a lot of fighters. So it's kind of based around that. But what's the common thing when people are coming to you with goals, or is it frustrations that they want to achieve something but they just don't know how to do it? Like, is that what you find is the...
A lot of it is that, or a lot of it is not having someone to be accountable to. So if I was to say to you, right, go off, write some goals down and do it, you're probably not going to do it. But if someone every week is messaging you and saying, okay, I need you to check in, let me know how your goals are coming along, have you done this, this and this, you've got to almost do something or ignore them. But if you're paying them, you're not going to ignore them. And the mindset coaching is really expensive, but again, really worth money. So you're not going to pay someone all that money every month to not stick to what you've said. I mean, they could lie to me. Some clients do, but I usually know when they're lying.
Do you know, we talk about a lot. Accountability is one of the biggest topics that comes up on the podcast. You know, for doing anything that you're trying to strive in, you need accountability for that. Yeah. So how do you keep yourself accountable?
This is something I've been thinking about today, actually. Like, do I need a coach myself? No, I've got my partner, who is amazing. And I just tell him everything that I want to do, and he's like, right, you can do it. And I kind of goal set myself and set myself steps of how I'm going to get there, and I let him know how I'm doing. It's not obviously official, we don't document it, but he'll say, you know, when I'm dieting, he's so supportive because he preps for bodybuilding, so it's easy to diet when you live with someone like that. But I think you've got to as well, something I am massive on. So we have But for me personally, I think it's a very positive thing if it's used in the right way. And you have to control your content as to be able to view things that are going to motivate you. And if you don't like what you see, unfollow it. So if something makes you feel negative, or any sort of negative emotion, whether it's jealousy or you don't like that person, why are you looking at them? You control what you see. So you need to surround yourself with content that is going to inspire you to move forward. You also need to have real relationships with people in your life. So an issue that we've got, I believe, is that people will reach out to online communities before they'll reach out to friends and family, which to me is bizarre, because if I have a problem, I'll ring my best friend or I'll ring my partner. I won't go on the internet. Whereas young people now are building like online families, which is great for some things, but if you don't have real people that support you in your life with what you're doing, that you can be accountable to face, what's the point? It doesn't mean anything. You can have 10,000 people support you online, because, you know, if if you're looking for people that are interested in the same things as you, you'll find it on the internet. But to have real people in your life that might not be interested in the same things but are interested in you enough to support your goals, that's more important, way more important. So again, that's something I encourage in my clients, and that might be a goal, to socialise more or to open up to their family about things. So yeah, that is quite, with younger clients, that's a very common one.
Yeah, do you know what? That's kind of, to give you a background on the podcast, that's kind of where it came from. So we read this book, Think and Grow Rich, and it talks about forming a mastermind group. So basically getting a collective of people around you that are working towards a common goal.
Yeah.
And we wanted to understand, well, when we were young, we're from completely different backgrounds. Julian grew up in Mauritius. I was born in Bradford. And it was like, well, if you're from a background that's not conducive to success from the first instance, how do you formulate those relationships that are then going to springboard you onto success or whatever your goal is? It doesn't have to be money. It doesn't have to be money. It can be whatever. But how do you do that? How do you form that? And you're right. Like you can go online and you can build these sort of things, but how do you do that in real life? How do you do that in real life?
You need interaction.
Because the big thing now is like on Instagram, is you were saying the other day they took away likes on someone's Instagram pages, like they're doing a trial of like removing likes on people's posts and stuff like that. Not in a big way. I think it's like a trial or whatever. And it's like it rings true, because if you've got 10,000 people online and then that is deleted tomorrow, to those 10,000 people, maybe like 99% of them, you don't exist now.
Of course not.
Like you're pretty much...
They don't care.
You're pretty much dead online. Yeah. But then you need those core group of people around you.
And we've got... And I am dreading the day, because I have to select like an employment a job role from a drop down from a finance job. And I know that Instagram influencer is going to come on there. And I am dreading that day that is a desired career for people to want to be famous on social media as a job. Like that's not a way of life. That's just constantly seeking gratification from people you don't know.
Yeah.
And you can find support online from thousands of people, because if you're pushing something, so I'm pushing a healthy eating and a healthy lifestyle, there's going to be billions of people that agree with that if they find me, will say whatever she says is amazing and she's great and she's this and she's that. They don't actually know me. They're not looking at my content properly. And if you don't have it in real life, it doesn't mean anything. And it's dangerous. It's really dangerous.
I think it's dangerous to not be challenged on what you say.
Of course.
I think that's the best thing about having people around you. It's like people that don't totally agree with your perspective.
Yeah.
And if you can sit
like
and listen.
My best friends aren't into fitness, don't train, aren't that fussed about how they eat. They mostly have dogs now, because I've like persuaded them to. You need to.
Sounds like that's a definite. If you want to be friends with you, dog is essential.
Yeah. At least one. If there's not at least one, then you're not coming in. But yeah, they're completely different to me, and I can count on one hand the amount of people that I would go to for advice, that I would care about their opinion, that could potentially influence a decision of mine. But I've got a lot of people who would give me ideas or might disagree with me or see things from another perspective. And that is so important. You can't just have people telling you how amazing you are all the time and that you're right. And because, it's just not realistic.
How did you form the way you are today? Like, how did that happen? Because, all right, so if I sit here and have to say, like, how long have we been talking for? About 45 minutes?
Really?
So that's not enough time to get to know you, don't get me wrong. But you seem to have this mix of raw honesty and, like, quite a positive person, like a nice blend of like, you're nice, but you'll say in a nice way, don't fucking do that. That's bad shit. Do you know what I mean? So how did you cultivate this? Is it natural? Do you read? How's it formed?
Do you know what? I think over the years, I've been through a lot, but not compared to what a lot of people go through. So this is where the biggest part of my life that's turned around, and you'll have heard it before, is using gratitude. Yeah. God, I sound so spiritual when I say the word. Can we use another word? But
thankfulness, I don't know.
No, gratitude.
I don't know, there's no words. It'll not make it better.
Yeah. So when I was younger, for many years, I played the victim. Why is this happening to me? Why am I going through this? But it was me that was choosing to put myself in those situations. I was completely self-destructive. I would go out every weekend and get battered to try and just wipe out all the thoughts that were going through my head. I'd be out Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday. Had the time of my life, but it wasn't healthy. It wasn't solving any of my problems. But I had a great group of friends that I'm still friends with now, a lot of them. And I actually kind of took myself away from that situation. And I think it says a lot about me and what they knew of me, because they're still my friends now, and the fact that I didn't want to do that anymore didn't affect anything. But I decided that my life was up to me to control, and I could choose how I wanted to be and how I wanted my future to be. But to do that, there was a lot of things about myself I had to change. And as soon as you realise that you don't actually have it as bad as what you think, you can change your life. Like I say to my clients all the time, I will teach you how to change your life with what you've already got. So yes, you pay for me, but you don't have to spend money on anything else. Let's just look at where you want to be, work with what you've got, and we will change the way you see everything. It changes your life. I can't express enough. It's like I get up in the morning and the dog daily routine is essential. And again, that's something I start off with my clients. But like the dogs sleep in a separate room, but my boyfriend puts them in bed with me in the morning when he goes to work at stupid o'clock. So the first thing I'm grateful for is that the dogs are there. And then I switch my alarm off. I'm grateful that I've got a mobile phone. I go in the kitchen, put the kettle on. I'm so grateful that I've got coffee. I spilt the jar of coffee everywhere this morning, and I just smiled because I was like, I can put that in the bin, it doesn't matter. Some people don't have that privilege of just coffee is expensive, it's not cheap, is it?
The good stuff is expensive.
It's not the good stuff. I just need quick coffee in the morning. And then I will respond to client messages because I stop using my phone about an hour before bed, so I'll have quite a few messages to respond to in the morning. And then I take the dogs out, and then I get on my computer and I respond to emails. But every single part, so as I'm responding to clients, it's not a hassle. Like, I feel privileged that they've chosen me as their coach, and I've got to reply to them, and I really think about what I'm saying instead of just fobbing them off. And then, like this morning, it was raining when I took the dogs out. I'm not going to feel miserable that the weather's not good. Like, I am blessed that I start my day taking my dogs for a walk in the beautiful countryside, whether it's raining or not. And as soon as you view things like that, I have to get up for work. No, you don't. You're lucky you've got a job. You're lucky that you're needed at work. You're earning money. And if you don't like your job, fucking do something about it. Change it. Get qualified. Like, you aren't stuck. You're just choosing to be where you are. So it was that realisation that got me to the thought processes I have now. And it's not a nice process to go through, realising that you don't like yourself as a person and it's not anyone else's fault but your own is tough, but it's needed. And that's why when a lot of my clients message me, I always say, I'm thank you for messaging, and you should already be proud of yourself for the step you've taken, because you're saying you need help and you're reaching out. And you will probably message other coaches or look at my prices and think, Jesus, no. And that's fine, but you're at least trying, you know, you're doing something, because it's better than doing nothing. So.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing. You hit the nail on the head. I don't know if you've got any more.
No, like, I agree with what you were saying with people being able to change themselves. I think it's just, it goes back to the whole accountability thing, having someone there that you can rely on, someone that's going to help you reflect on yourself and change those habits. Because all it is like habits and patterns, and breaking those patterns. And then by doing that, your perception's changing. You're seeing the world in a different way. You're being grateful. You're seeing, and everything completely changes around you. I've gone through it myself, like 3 different stages of moving from a different job, moving to this country, and it's just, I guess, upgrading what you've got, leaving the bad things out, and bringing the good things in. If that makes sense a little bit.
Nah, definitely. So, mental health muscle.
Yes.
What's that?
So, I found these guys online as they just started about a year and a half ago now it was. So I found them on Instagram, awful Instagram. But basically, so I run the North area. There's 4 Leeds, and there's Aaron, who's an amazing guy who set it up. He literally just started it with a group training session, and then they went for some food after. It was a group of guys in his local gym, and they were like, oh yeah, mental health muscle, let's do this regularly. And it's from there, it's just exploded. I'm getting goosebumps now as I'm talking about it. So we're a non-for-profit organisation, and we use the gym and fitness and a healthy lifestyle to raise awareness of mental health issues and to help people struggling with mental health issues. Or, I mean, ideally, people would have fitness and health in their life to prevent mental health, but everyone is going to suffer with something at some point in their life. And it's giving people tools and a group of people behind them, I guess, to be there to support them. So we set up big events. We do the smaller meet and eats, which we've got 13 or 14 reps all over the UK that organise meet and eats in their local gyms. They get local people, just group training session and then food after. The events that we do are getting big now, so they're on a bigger scale, and we've got speakers that come and do seminars, people well known in the fitness industry that will talk about their own experiences with mental health or how they help their clients. And I mean, some people have been through some horrific things, as you guys will have spoken to people about. And then we do community work as well, so workshops in schools, business places, colleges, universities, and obviously there's fundraising events. Ultimately, the money that we raise goes back into funding memberships for people struggling with the mental health. So usually a gym membership, but running clubs, personal training sessions, anything that physically could help them get to where they want to be mentally.
Nice.
That's what we do.
Well, what are some of the responses have you had from schools and, from sort of younger kids?
Yeah, that we haven't been doing as much of that because we've been so busy with getting all the reps set up and the events and the meet and eats. That's something that we're in the process of looking at doing more of going forwards. But we're trying to start with what we know, and that's in the gyms and with adults. Because it's really rare that you meet someone in the fitness industry that hasn't suffered from some form of mental health issue. And as much as it's becoming acceptable to talk about these things, people aren't doing enough. There's got to be more there than it's okay to not be okay. Well, yeah, it is, but what are you doing about it? It's not all right to just be depressed or be anxious. I've been there. I suffer with anxiety massively. My partner will tell you, like, he's probably the one that hears me talk about, well, he's definitely the one that hears me talk about it the most. But I'm not going to accept that that's going to stop me doing things or it's going to affect my life. I'm going to put everything in place possible to beat that feeling. And like with the eating disorders, I believe you never fully recover from an eating disorder. You will always have those voices in the back of your head. Every single day, you have to build yourself up to be strong enough to fight the demons that are going on, and everyone has them from some form or another, but it's how you deal with those thoughts. So this time last year we had our biggest event that was at Graft House in Leeds, Kirkstall, and it was like me and Aaron like did a lot of planning, and obviously we were just hoping people turned up on the day. I was shitting myself before. I was like, no one's gonna fucking come. We've got athletes coming to do seminars and there's gonna be empty rooms. I was ringing my friends like, please come. They were all like, no, I don't like the gym. But yeah, it was incredible. Like the response we had, seminars were packed, people were queuing up. It was absolutely amazing. And we weren't really well known then. Like Mental Health Muscle it was known by people connected with it, but not in general. Whereas now you'll wear your hoodie and we'll have people stopping us in the gym, walking around Body Power. We had a stand at Body Power that was absolutely incredible. That weekend was so emotional. But and we'd be walking around Body Power and people were like, oh, Mental Health Muscle, like I've got a t-shirt. It's bizarre, and it's absolutely amazing that people are jumping on board. Ben has helped us a lot with it, bless him, he's absolutely amazing. And yeah, it's getting big and it's going to get bigger. We've got some massive plans for next year, and it's getting in touch with the right people to support us and to help us for the right reasons. Because a lot of people, another big issue, jumping on the mental health bandwagon, self-diagnosing, everyone has stress, everyone has worries, and it's not always clinical depression or anxiety. But you walk down the street now and everyone thinks that they have it, and it's hard because you can't ever say that one person's mental health issue is worse or better than another's. But to me, if you're suffering and you're not going to do anything about it, then I don't want to know.
So that came up on the podcast with...
talking about that the other day, weren't we?
Yeah, we were talking about it, but it came up on the one when we were talking about male suicide, and it was Neil, and I was saying, at what point does being not just depressed, but depressed, and not doing anything about it, but then ranting and putting that on other people become selfish?
That is selfish.
Exactly, yeah. And that's just to your point, like it's so refreshing, and you say, and we were talking about it the other day about, you look at people online and you think, well, no. Or now you're like something about mental health and this and this and this, and it's like, and you're right, it's like how do you wade through who's genuine and who's not? Because we've sat with quite a few people now doing various bits and pieces, and it's just like, all right. And sometimes we do look and think, sometimes you think, what's the reason? And you can never, it's a bit awkward. You can never challenge people.
No, you can't. And they know that.
Yeah, you're bulletproof. You're absolutely bulletproof.
Of course
you challenge them and you're a dick. You don't, and you have that niggling like, have I just given someone a platform to talk about something that
I don't necessarily believe in you?
And do you know what? We've made mistakes with connecting with people that said they wanted to help us in the past, and it was for the wrong reason. So I'll give you the names so you don't do a podcast with them. Because a lot of people in the fitness industry are poison. But it's a good way of like finding them out. But yeah, it is really, really difficult. And this is again where the real connections come in. So if I'm anxious, I go to my partner. I don't go to an app in my phone and put on an app that I'm suffering with anxiety or depression. That is some people's way of dealing with it. So in no way am I saying that that's wrong. Everyone's got individual ways. But this is why if someone messages me online and they say they're struggling, first of all, as a qualified nutritionist, I am not qualified to take anyone on that is suffering with, that is diagnosed and currently... Hello.
Oh, it's just having a little stretch.
Dog's having a stretch.
And currently going through... Oh... Sorry.
It's alright.
I just can't concentrate when there's dogs around.
Yeah, they can't see it on the screen. It's on the Instagram though. Horace is on the Instagram.
He needs to be on. He's so muscly and beautiful. Anyway, what was I saying? I've totally forgot.
Straight under the desk.
Go sit down.
You can see him now.
Oh, he's so happy.
Sit down.
Go sit down.
No, you need to get out of your chair and let him up there like this.
Yeah, and you can carry on there.
What were we saying? The real, I think I was on about real connection. Oh, yeah.
Real connections.
So, yes, if I'm suffering, and this is, I know what I was saying. If someone messages me and they're going through therapy or treatment, medication from a doctor for mental health issues or eating disorders, I can't help them as a coach because they're not in a place where they're able to take on what I would get them to do. And they're seeking medical and professional help, so they need to do that first. But it's the real connections that people need to have so that they don't feel the need to use a mental health issue for attention. Because, like I said, the only person I really talk to anxiety about with is my partner. And I don't think I've ever gone online and said, oh God, I've been really anxious today. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I would then get 20 messages from people being like, oh, I'm here for you. And it's like, no, I know who's there for me. I've already spoke to them. They know, they've got me through it.
And I think people kind of know as well who's there for them, right? Is it for attention or is it for...
Not online. That's also... I mean, online,
yeah.
And again, how easy is it to see someone put online, I'm struggling today, or I've got this wrong, and just quickly send a love heart, and they think that's support. That's not support. That's just trying to make yourself feel better. Actually supporting someone. If I see that from one of my friends, I pick up the phone or I text them and say, let's go for a walk or let's go for a coffee. I don't respond to things with giving them attention. I want to find out what's actually happening and talk to them about it properly so that they don't feel the need to publicly express that they're struggling, because it's not how I deal with it. Some people do, and that's fine, and I'm not taking anything away from that. And I think a lot of people go with I want to show every side of me and I'm being honest about how I'm feeling, but you have to think about how that could impact other people. And if I was to put online, God, I've been really anxious today, and I haven't spoke to my best friend or my family or my partner about it, they're going to be like, well, I'm always here. Why have you not spoke to me? You speak to me about everything, but are you doing that for attention from other people? I don't know. It is a very difficult one.
Yeah, do you know what? You make a really good point, and as you were saying it was kind of going around my mind that it could breed quite dangerous behaviours, because, if you're getting attention for talking about mental health and then all of a sudden that attention goes and you're not flavour of the month online anymore.
Yeah.
What do? Do you start acting more erratic? Do you start just making up more stuff and putting out,
It's also a vicious cycle as well, because then someone messages you and says, oh, you're feeling depressed. I'm also depressed. Let's be depressed together. How depressed are you today? That's an accident waiting to happen.
Yeah, you're right.
It's not something that I would ever want to add to, because I only want to add value. And I'll be 100% honest with the real people in my life. But if I'm struggling, it's not going on an app on my phone, because I don't care what my followers think of me from that respect. If I can educate them, and then, with my clients, I want to educate and empower and then set them free, which really upsets me. And they never want to go, and I have to be like, look, you don't need me anymore. But that's what I want to do with my clients. And with other people online, I want to educate them to make better choices. But I don't give a shit what they think about me.
Yeah.
If they think that the content I put out is right and they like it, then great. And if they change the way they think about things or aren't as influenced by, because a lot of what I go on about on my nutrition page is how other people in your life will try and persuade you away from what you're trying to do in all areas, food, goals, to justify their own behaviour. You'll have heard other people talking about it. But enablers. So enablers are people that make shit decisions all the time and want to justify their own decisions by getting other people to go off track.
Yeah, misery loves company, right?
Yeah, it does. So if the stuff I put out can get people thinking about things like that differently and making different choices, whether they ever message me or have any conversation with me or not, I don't care if they think that I'm a dickhead. The people that I care about are the people that aren't online.
Yeah.
So that's
Do you know what's so true? And I was trying to keep something in my head, because that's the worst thing about podcast is that you think of something and then the conversation goes off. And you were saying that people never really truly leave like addictions or bad habits or something. Yeah. They're always there. And it just sparks me because I just finished the Russell Brand's book, Recovery.
Okay.
And he literally talks about it. It's like every day I'll get an urge to want to do heroin, cheat on my partner, this, that and the other. And it's having core principles in your life that you've worked on over a period of time that then you break down day by day and just say, okay, this is a trigger for this, and, you know, deal with it. But you're right, like being strong enough to...
Well, it's about knowing your identity as well.
Yeah.
So you've got to know who you are and what you stand for. And most people nowadays don't. And again, I hate to just constantly talk about the internet, but that is where a lot of issues are, because people are constantly comparing themselves. They're never good enough because they're looking at someone that's got a better lifestyle, whether it's the internet, whether it's documentaries on TV, or you're walking down the street and you see a bigger house and it's like, oh God, why are they in that house? I should be in that. Like, why am I in this position? And it's like, no, you should fucking go up to that person. How have you got to where you've got? I want to be not like you, but I want to be achieving things like you. That's what I've been doing for the last 3 years. And I've made so much mental, physical and personal progress from when I've been in a place of, how are you where you are? Like when I've reached out to people in a positive way.
And people are willing to help, right? Sorry to interrupt you. Like, when you ask people for
help, God,
they'll want to give it to you,
of course they will.
You just never ask. That's
it's but people are scared. And what even if they turn around and they say, no, I'm not going to answer your questions, I'm not going to help. Well, fuck you then. I actually don't want to be like you. Like, that's, you know, if people are going to be like that. But it was actually, you know how you said, how did I get to where I am? So the last 3 years have been absolutely massive for me. I left quite a long-term relationship where we had a house, my first dog, and that for me, so I bought my own place. I remember setting up council tax, and I'd never done that because I'd always lived with friends, and I was like, oh my God, how do I set up bill? Like, what do I do? If I turn the tap on, will water come out? Like, what? It was a really stressful time, which any breakup when you've got a house is hard to sort up. Mm-hmm. And I remember I went to the estate agent and I got the keys, and they gave me this massive bunch of keys. There must have been about 20 keys on it. And I was like, what? And they were like, oh, that was just what came from the property. And I was like, oh, I'm going to be stood on the fucking doorstep for like an hour before I get in. But anyway, and I just sat in my car with this bunch of keys. My mum and dad were waiting at the other house to pick everything up, and I just cried for like 4 hours because I was like, I do not have a fucking clue what to do. I don't know how to change a light bulb. I don't know how to check the oil in my car. How do I set up a water bill? I had no idea. And my 3 best friends who I lived with, they're going to be my bridesmaids, they're amazing, came round like the next day, and I was just sat on the lounge floor. They brought their boyfriends round, who were then building my furniture and putting my blind up and sorting the TV out. And it was all just such a muddle, and I thought, this is either going to be the turning point or it's going to send me the opposite way. And I just kind of had to work out who I was and what I wanted, and living on my own and having to just get up and do stuff every day and not have anyone else there to answer to. You know, you weren't making dinner and saying to someone, what do you want to eat? It was literally just what I wanted to do. It was absolutely amazing, and I had an incredible time, and my friends really helped me, and it was very overwhelming, and it made me realise that I was capable of a lot more than what I thought. But it also made me realise as well that life is so simple. So I was so happy to be in my own place in the countryside with my dog. I didn't need anything else. Like, that was life. And then I met someone that made that better, so now I'm getting married. But but yeah, so, and I think as well, once you're at that place, you appreciate everything so much more because you're only going to let value come into your life. So I was only going to get with someone. I was only gonna be with someone that was, in my eyes, perfect, and is. And friends and new connections and business connections, I'm only gonna let people in that will add value. And that might be selfish, but my friends will tell you that I am the most selfish person they know that would do anything for anyone, because that's how I am.
Well, I think that sounds really freeing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
like so
pure freedom,
freeing,
like to be able to be there, just you and your dog, and be like, you know,
what now?
When I meet the right person, it's the right person. I don't need to be stressing and finding someone because I'm truly content with how I am right now.
Yeah, that's big.
I would have lived like that. I would have lived like that for the rest of my life. Like, it was amazing.
But a lot of people can't stand to be on their own.
Oh, that is, again, mindset coaching. Oh God, it's so frightening. Like, I have one client who has been in an emotionally abusive relationship for 7 years, and within 3 months of working with me, she's now renting her own place. And she's been trying to leave for 2.5, nearly 3 years, and she's not been able to do it on her own because she couldn't see what was happening and what was real and what wasn't, because these people will, you know, totally manipulate and lie and convince you that you're the one in the wrong. They'll pull you away from everyone else in your life so that you've got no one to turn to. So she probably felt like she didn't have anyone she could talk to honestly about it, and that was why she decided to pay someone to help her. But, you know, men are capable of it, women are capable of it. You just have to know who you are and what you want, and then not settle for anything less. Because I talk about my partner, about how amazing he is all the time, and people will be like, "You can't be that amazing, you can't be that happy," and I'm like, okay, I don't care what you think. It's not perfect, nothing is, but it's the best fucking relationship I've ever had, and better than I ever thought I'd find. And I'm not going to let a day go by where he doesn't know that that's how I feel, because the day he doesn't feel appreciated, that's when things can go wrong. And that's where so many relationships go wrong. People get complacent, they stop making an effort. You know, we've been together not long. And we're getting married. No, 1.5 years, and it's more exciting every day. He gives me more butterflies now than he did at the beginning. And I don't think that's unachievable. But you've got to put the effort in yourself. You just can't. And people, like I said, they do get complacent. And I've got no doubts that we'll come across hard times. But if you're strong enough, individually and together, then that's...
Yeah, those hard times should make you stronger.
No, exactly. You're right. You're right. That's it. And time's not a qualifier of a good relationship. A 10-year relationship is not a fantastic relationship by default. Whereas a 6-month relationship is not like, oh, it might not work. Like, it really does matter.
No, it's how much time... Well, again, it comes down to how well you know yourself, because someone could be with someone 10 years because they hate being on their own, and that's not the right reason to be with someone.
Yeah, exactly.
But he moved in after our 3rd date, and I can count...
That's your 3-date rule, is moving.
No, he stayed over after the 3rd date and didn't leave. He wasn't allowed. Yeah, so... But... You know, I've been with people for a lot longer and not even reached any of the sort of happiness that I've got now. But again, this is because of how I feel about myself in general. I was talking about it to a client today, and I was saying to her that we are going to get her to a point where anyone could come up to her and say, "You're a shit person, you're ugly, you're this, you're that," and you'd just be like, "Just doesn't matter. Tell someone that cares." Like, you don't have to take into account every single person's opinion of you, and you should only take into account people's opinions who you actually value and who you would look up to them and ask them for advice. If you wouldn't go to someone for advice, why the fuck do you care what they think? It's bizarre that people get so caught up, but I've been there, and yeah.
Some people need to just go read The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. It's a good book for figuring out how to not
people
care.
Always talk to me about books and say, "Have you read this? Have you read that?" I don't read, and they always say, who was I was talking to a friend the other day, and I was voice noting him, and his girlfriend was in the background. She was like, "Oh, Sophia's read so and so," and he was like, "No, Sophia didn't read."
Well, that's good. Like, experience is the best teacher.
It
absolutely is. Like, I read because I just said to myself, I've got to read. So
I do want to
educate myself a bit, but
the thing is, the way I think and the way I do things, it won't work for everyone. But people have to try it to know that it won't work. If it won't work, I don't know what will. But no, think different things work for different people. I totally appreciate that.
No, exactly. Yeah.
No, so we're coming up towards the end of the podcast. Yeah. If you had to give 3 tips to your average 9 to 5 day workers that they can add to their life to improve their life, what would they be?
Okay, so daily routine. Just get up early. That can change your day. Starting your day with gratitude, and then just as with gratitude, being thankful for the people that you've got and telling them that you appreciate them, because people shouldn't have to do something for you to tell them that you're grateful for them.
Well,
John,
you'd have thought you had those written down.
Yeah. You didn't even pre-warn me on that. That's
I didn't know it was going to ask that.
I just threw it in there.
Yeah. So if people want to find your page, they want to get in touch with you, where can they go?
Okay, so we've got Instagram, Apollo. Oh no, I've got underscores and stuff. It's Apollo Nutrition, but there's like underscores.
We'll put all the links below.
That's brilliant. And just slide in my DMs if you want coaching.
Thanks for coming on again.
Yeah, thank you guys. Nice to meet you both.
Cheers.